We're ready to begin this next segment of our candidate forum. I'd like to introduce our candidates for Monroe County Auditor, Hans Huffman and Steve Saulter. The forum for this part of our program will be that each candidate will have the opportunity to give a 5-minute statement. We will then have a Q&A period, and then we will have a closing statement by each candidate. And we'll go ahead and start with candidate Hans Huffman.
Good evening. Thank you to the Monroe County Democratic Party and to the people who involved in planning this forum for us. I'm Hans Huffman, and I'm seeking the Democratic nomination for County Auditor because Monroe County deserves an auditor who is committed to public service and who can restore confidence in the office. I was born and raised here and am a graduate of North High School. I began volunteering for the Democratic Party in 1984, stuffing envelopes for Frank McCloskey, and have worked on many campaigns since then. I left home to attend college, and after graduation, went to work as a business manager where I honed my financial skills. I did bookkeeping, banking and payroll, tax withholding, and learned to manage a staff. I returned to Monroe County to spend time with my mother after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. I went into business with my family, serving as our financial officer, but when my mother's condition worsened, we sold the business so my parents could retire. At this time, I again became active volunteering for the Democratic Party and was invited by former Chair Lee Jones to join the Events Committee. In 2007, I was elected to the Democratic Party's Central Committee as Treasurer, and I continue to serve in that role today. In 2008, newly elected Treasurer Kathy Smith asked me to join her staff, and I currently serve as her Chief Deputy. During my time in the Treasurer's office, I have worked closely with the Treasurer to improve efficiency, lower costs, make information more readily available, and provide better service to our citizens. Every year we have taken on additional work without adding staff or increasing our budget by improving our processes and making better use of technology. I want to apply these successes to the Auditor's office. The Auditor has 3 important roles. It's the central repository of county information, including contracts and records of council and commissioners' meetings. The Auditor oversees the county's payroll, budget, and finances. It tracks revenue and expenditures and works with the Treasurer to balance tax collections and make distributions to all governmental units within the county. Finally, the Auditor is responsible for calculating property taxes, assisting taxpayers with exemptions and deductions, and maintaining records of property transfers. I believe the next auditor needs to make improvements in 3 major areas. The first is transparency. Transparency creates accountability, which builds trust. Public information should be readily available and will be if I'm elected auditor. The auditor is responsible for verifying accounts payable claims for all county departments, including his own. All of my spending will be posted online for the public to see without having to ask. I will also make budgets available online and update them regularly so that everyone can see how their tax dollars are being spent. The second is communication. The auditor can have a very real, positive impact on people's lives by getting them information in a timely manner. Changes in property taxation and information about tax exemption filing deadlines are examples of those. I will not only make better use of traditional methods of sharing information, such as the newspaper and public notices, but others such as neighborhood associations and the internet. The county website has about 24,000 visitors a month. People are looking for information, and I will make it available. And the final is cooperation. County government operates best when all departments work together. We should always be looking for ways to improve efficiency, provide better services to the people we represent, and to lower costs. Collaboratively, we can find solutions to the county's financial difficulties while still maintaining a high level of service. I'm committed to earning your trust and working for a modern, transparent, efficient office whose main goal is serving the public. Restoring confidence in the Auditor's office will not happen overnight, but with your support, it will happen. My name is Hans Huffman, and I would appreciate your vote on May 8th.
Next, Mr. Saulter.
Hello, I am Steve Saulter, and I'm seeking the Democratic nomination for Auditor. First of all, I want to thank you for allowing me to come visit with you tonight. A little brief history about myself. I'm a native of Monroe County, the Unionville area. I'm a graduate of Indiana University with a BS degree and a major in accounting. I'm married. I have 2 children and 2 grandchildren, so therefore I can go home tonight because I mentioned them. And also 2 dogs and 2 cats for you animal lovers out there. The office I seek, County Auditor, is really 2 big offices rolled into one. You have what's called the Property Division, And on the property side, you oversee almost 70,000 parcels of property. Also on that side, you make sure that the proper deductions are in place on those parcels. You also work with what's called the abstract, and the abstract is the document that goes to the state. It's approved by the auditor of state, which basically leads into the tax rates that you all get on your tax statements. Also, you have what's called the financial side of the auditor's office. Now, that side will be responsible for receiving the monies that comes in to the county on a daily basis. They pay the vendors bills, the vendors who the county deals with. They're also responsible for payroll of almost 500 plus employees. So as you can see, big business. In 2011, for example, the financial side was responsible for overseeing 152 funds. The total cash transactions that went through those funds was in excess of $240 million. So therefore, a big business, like I said, two big departments rolled into one. I strongly believe that because of the nature of the auditor's office and the fact that it is these two big businesses rolled into one, that the auditor needs to be, one, professionally trained for the job, and number two is have a working experience that they can use as you progress down the road. I have both of those, folks. I have been professionally trained for the job, and I have that hands-on working knowledge and experience. My professional training starts with the State Board of Accounts. Now, most of you have probably heard about the State Board of Accounts or read about them. I spent nearly 23 years as a field examiner for that agency. And during that period of time, I learned everything there was about auditing the various governmental units, from townships to schools to cities, counties. My specialty during that time was county government. I think on at least 2 or 3 occasions I audited Monroe County. So I have a strong understanding of county government as a whole, which I think is going to be very important. From a practical hands-on experience, for the past 3+ years, I've been what's called the county financial director. Primarily, you work with the various county departments concerning the budgets and the council. Warren and I have seen each other a lot over the past 3+ years. We also work with the other governmental units in helping them with their budgets. I see Vicki Sorensen from Indian Creek out there. We've helped them. We're also responsible for distributing the money out to the units that we collect. The money that's collected by the treasurer, we then work at settlement time twice a year to distribute the money out. We've also worked, believe it or not, with the commissioners. The purchase of this building was done through financing that I was able to work with them to help obtain the financing, set the tax rate in place. So therefore, I've got that hands-on knowledge and experience that's needed. And I think if you take the knowledge and the training together, you roll them into one, I strongly feel that I meet that criteria that's needed for someone to be sitting in that office of county auditor, in that chair, that is really, folks, the CFO, the chief financial officer of the county. I think that makes me the best qualified person for the job.
Thank you both. The next segment of our discussion will be a Q&A period. And if there's anyone in the audience that would like to propose a question, we have cards available and more than able assistants to pick them up. So if you would like to propose a question, please raise your hand. Or if you have a card ready, please raise your hand as well. Go ahead. We'll start with a fairly general question. How would your term in office contribute to a balanced county budget? And we'll start off with Steve Saulter.
Well, first of all, the balanced budget concept is something that you're going to hear more and more about in the future. The county's gotten a little bit off track. Revenue shortfalls started out about a year ago of being almost $2 million less than the COIT money. Thanks to the state of Indiana's malfunctioning in the Department of Revenue, we've been able to recover some of that. But we still have a balanced budget that's not balanced, I should say. One thing the auditor's office can do is, and the current auditor has done that, is she's worked to try to figure out ways to reduce staff and continue the services going. There is a fund called the Auditor's Ineligible Deduction Fund. It's money that you collect when you find people with 2 homesteads, and you can collect back taxes going 3 years. That is a fund that currently has $87,000 in it, and it can be utilized in the sense that a lot of the expenses that normally would go through the county general fund for the auditor can go through that. So that's how I would work to try to use that fund better to balance the budget.
Mr. Huffman?
I think the best way the auditor can be of use in balancing the budget is getting accurate information to the council who makes those decisions on budgets. One thing that I've heard continually from council members and candidates for council is not being able to get information accurately and timely. Every one of the council members has an iPad that was purchased by the county for their use. I'm going to have all of the revenues as they come in will go into the spreadsheets, and the council members will be able to see those as frequently as they want from wherever they are to help them making the decisions that they need to make about the county. Now, I can also lead by example, as I have with Kathy Smith in our office, cutting our budgets, keeping costs down, finding efficiencies, and working better with other departments, because there's more efficiencies to be found. And I think the last one would be in doing the job well enough that we don't lose revenue, as we have found out today with almost $1 million lost because of a mistake made.
Our next question. If elected auditor, how will you seek to work collaboratively with the treasurer and other Monroe County offices? Mr. Huffman?
I will do that the same way I have been doing it now as the Chief Deputy Treasurer. We have been working very hard to get everybody to the table. Reorganization has been a topic of conversation. Now, I don't support the reorganization as it's been proposed, but we do need to find more efficiencies, and we have to do that together, and we can't do it if everyone doesn't come to the table. The elected officials have gotten a group together. Judy Sharp has been present, Jim Fielder has been present, Kathy Smith has been there, as have the other department heads except for the auditor's office. It's the one that has not come to the table, and it's the one that we all rely on. As auditor, I will be at the table with everyone else.
Well, first of all, the reorganization is a concept which is still in its beginning stages. It needs to be looked at. Primarily, I support the concept of reorganization for the simple reason is it's important that we keep employees in place that have institutional knowledge, long-time employees. You do not want employees that run the risk of losing their jobs because of politicians who make deals about, I'll hire so many people out here if you work in my campaign. It's important that we keep the concept of institutional knowledge of employees in place. So therefore, we, to this day, the Auditor's Office works hand in hand with every department of county government and then some. We will continue to do that as we've done for the last 3.5 years, because we try to make sure that these departments have the information. I disagree with a statement my opponent made. We provide the information daily to the county council and then some. So that's how we're going to continue to do, working with the departments.
Thank you. This next question will go to Mr. Saulter to begin. Could you provide planned or outlines on how you would work to bolster the image of the auditor? Well,
the image of the auditor is something that, because of the recent credit card issues, will take time to do. I am a strong believer that you improve integrity not by using fancy words and catchphrases, but through actions. We will continue to work with the departments. We will continue to work with the public in the manner that we've done for the past 3+ years. We provide the services on a timely basis. We work with them. When you sit down and you look at dealing with the taxpayers as we do, we have very little, if any, complaints over the past 3+ years. Why? Because we've jumped on it, we've worked with them. The same with the departments. The departments are getting this information, the council is getting the information. It's a matter of you improve the integrity through actions, not through fancy words, not through catchphrases, but by doing work. People want to see work being done, and we will continue to do that.
Mr. Huffman.
Again, I will do that the same way I have done in the treasurer's office. It's by being available and in the office every day. I actually, before this forum, I just came down from upstairs where my office is, because I was still working at my computer, answering all the email and phone calls that I've received over the course of the day. That is the most important thing, having a department head who is there and present and available and can answer questions. I would also do that by making information more available to people, online, when they want it. And I'm not sure what else to say here. I have been working hard in the treasurer's office with Kathy Smith to make our office more modern and efficient and friendlier for people. And I will certainly continue to do that next door in the auditor's office.
Thank you. I'd like to invite again the audience, if you'd like to offer questions. Any additional questions, please raise your hand and we'll get a card to you. No? This will go to Mr. Huffman. Could you talk a little bit about your thoughts on transparency in government and how you would work to make the workings of your office more transparent and open to the public?
I think I've talked about that a lot, but what we deal with is public information, and the public should have access to it. For me, our budgets are not just numbers. I sit in my office every day and I look into the faces of the people who are giving us the money that we use for those budgets. And I understand that everything that we do has a direct effect on people's lives. And so being able to be open and have information about how we spend our money available to them, that's the first step. I will be out in the community. I really want to work with neighborhood associations, because as entities that work with property, that's the place to find those people. And instead of making them come to us, going to them and giving them information that they need, people don't always know the information that they need. And we find that out when we send out tax bills. People have questions. Getting that information to them ahead of time, I think, is important.
Mr. Saulter?
For the past 3.5 years, we have worked dealing with the public. We have worked dealing with the council, with the other departments, and we work simply by providing that information to them on a daily basis when it's requested. Anyone can walk into the auditor's office tomorrow morning and request to see practically anything, maybe short of payroll, because payroll has privacy requirements. We have done this many times. We've had taxpayers come up to our counter and ask to see things. We've helped with them 100% of the time, from both the financial side and the property side. We will continue to do that. This has been done for the last 3.5 years, folks. When Amy Gertzman took over the auditor's office, it had been described as a train wreck because of all the financial irregularities and things like that. We've worked to improve that. We've worked to bring it into the modern age where that we can deal with the public and provide things for them on a timely basis. And that's what we'll continue to do. And we will follow that policy from Amy's starting date to the next auditor.
Thank you. In the absence of additional questions from the audience, we'll go ahead and start with our closing statements. Since it was Hans that started with the opening, we'll go ahead and Mr. Saulter, you can deliver your closing statement now.
Thank you very much again for allowing me to come visit with you tonight and visit to the people out there in TV land. Throughout this campaign, you've heard me talk about the pending financial crisis that's starting to hit Monroe County. Thanks to the problems at the Department of Revenue, the crisis isn't as much as it once was. The original $2 million COIT shortfall that we had started with has been practically cut in half. We're still not through the problems. We still have budgets are not being balanced. We still have to address that. I strongly believe that whoever sits in this auditor's chair has to be someone who has been professionally trained for the job, who has that hands-on knowledge to be able to handle the situations that they're going to encounter. Why? Because they're going to see data coming in front of them, data that will have to be taken out to the council, where the council makes the final decision. Folks, I have said this throughout this campaign time and time again. I strongly believe I am the best qualified person for the job. I have said this for the past several months. I believe it to this day. And I hope that you will also believe with me. I hope that you will give me a chance. And I strongly hope that you will consider voting for me for auditor in the Democratic primary on May 8th. And let's see if we can keep Monroe County going. The auditor, like I said, is the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of this county. So they're going to have a big hand in working with the council in trying to corral spending, balancing the budgets, and keeping the county going, because it's important that we provide the services to the taxpayers. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Saulter. Mr. Huffman?
Democrats have a choice to make about who will best represent them on the ballot this fall. I believe that if we're going to retain this office, we need to make a clean break from the current administration so that we can focus on the future and not the past. Dealing with the county's current financial situation is going to take a new approach, one that is rooted in transparency, which will allow us to identify and eliminate wasteful spending while giving taxpayers confidence that their money is being used judiciously. It will require a new approach to the budget process that will ensure the council has the most accurate revenue projections so that they can make difficult decisions about the county's spending with confidence. The economy is presenting challenges, but it also gives us opportunities to reevaluate our priorities and update the way we provide services. Excuse me. The auditor will be an important part of this process. I'm committed to working with other county departments to weather this storm and ensure a bright future for Monroe County. I'm Hans Huffman. I'm running for county auditor, and I would appreciate your vote on May 8th.